Hisaishi is a modern composer famous for writing film scores to popular anime films by Studio Ghibli in Japan. Spirited Away is one of them, and this track, One Summer's Day, is basically a piano piece. It's for piano and orchestra, which is typical for film music, but the piano is so central it works perfectly well as a full solo version. But it gets slightly confusing with the different versions, and in this video I'll try to clear that up as well as look through the music from my classical perspective. So there are basically three official versions that I found of this. The first is the original soundtrack that came out in 2001, recorded with the New Japan Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra. Then Hisaishi released a solo album called Encore in 2002, which has this track in a solo version where he plays himself. Then in 2010 they released a new album called Melodiphony, recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra. So most of the piece is the same, but there are some key differences. The original soundtrack and the Encore goes to this fast section at the end that's completely new and ends it with a lot of high energy. But in the Melodiphony version they instead go to a slow coda and ends it in a slow way instead. There's also a new middle section and a repeat of some material that's new in Encore, that's not in the original track, but in Encore, and they keep that in the Melodiphony version as well. So you get slightly longer part of the slow section by repeating it. So I'm not too fond of the fast section ending for a piano version. I think it works better with orchestra. So I do prefer the Melodiphony form of the piece, but that's for piano and orchestra, so I need a piano version from that, and I found one by FMA Arrangements that I'll use in this video. So it starts with these still rolled chords, high up in the register, F major 7 and a 9, so major 9, beautiful. This is slightly weirder. So very unusual harmonies. They're called quartal harmonies because they consist of stacked fourths, like instead of thirds in the normal triadic harmony, we have fourth. Here's perfect fourths all the way, so like quartal chord of 6/4. And so they're not really compatible with the traditional harmony that's triadic, because you can't really decide which is the root, and they're just in between the normal chords that we normally use. And they have this openness and it's a little bit eerie and mystical and a bit magical. So perfect for this score. Then we go down and get this chord, which is another quartal harmony. This one has a tritone. It's even more tense. And then open. And usually it's notated as a full bar, this chord, to establish. And with the orchestra they play a bar with strings, but the problem to play on piano is that with strings it's much more live because they do a swell on it, and just playing the chord is not that interesting, especially because we come from this still chord and then get another chord, and when Joe Hisaishi plays it himself he plays it shorter than a full bar, so it may be like 2 quarter notes or just like one chord, a bit pause and then start. But in this arrangement, why not just start the melody straight away? I don't see a reason why not musically. Like this is the pause in the music and then we start here. We get the melody. So we see the left hand continues with these quartal chords going stepwise, the white keys. So very undecided where the tonality is. And the melody, we get these repeated notes, which is not that interesting really as a melody. So it's very common in a song to have a singing line on a repeated note, but in song you always have it more varied with the words and vowels to make it interesting. When you try to do that on an instrument, it doesn't really work. And he kind of gets away with it, I suppose, here. It's not the most interesting melody, but still it has direction. There's a variation. The second time now. This variation means a lot, and then the third time it moves on. There's just one other famous example in the classical repertoire. Franz Liszt writes a melody mostly of one note in the Liebestraum number 3. Whatever. He gets away with it even more because there's much more going on, both harmonically and texturally. But still, it kind of works here, I think. Okay. Now we get this super cozy chord. So it's kind of the same as the first, this one. Now it's with an F in the bass, so more of a root, and also with the A. And the A kind of helps to explain it in terms of normal harmony, because then we can see it as a F major 7, because the A is the third and the B is the sharp 4th to provide this openness. Turns to a G7, not another normal chord, so he kind of switches track here to get it more established, and it feels really nice to like, oh, this is the tonality we know, finally. By the way, C69. Another is quartal voicing with a 69 chord. The same chord. Here's another difference between the versions. The original and the encore version has only straight eighth notes, but in the Melodiphony album they add these triplets as an ornament, which I think is really nice. Provides even more life. Instead of so more normal chords here, D minor, turning to C, first inversion. This is really good lounge music, I think, because it's not just like a 4-chord song. It takes a new turn and get this surprising. So D minor, E is a 9, resolving as an inner voice, growing here. So like D minor and C, it's maybe C major tonality, and then get F minor, which is a borrowed chord. Then it's a surprise. And LUSH extensions here as well. So F minor 7 and 9 suspension as well. And a lot of tense things here. Kind of D half diminished with a G, turning to a diminished, but still some kind of G. And then going to an F. Okay, now we get some more melody going, more the dynamic is on a higher level, and get some more direction. But still it's going between F and then F, add 9, no, 69 F. E that points to A minor, and then C7 points back to F. So it's all like using harmony to like micro modulations in the middle of the phrase. Also a detail on the top here on the E, normal E pointing to A minor, but on the top we have a G natural, which is the minor third, with the G sharp as the major third. So minor third or the sharp 9 as a coloring note. Really gives it character. Now a D with extensions. So the 6 and the 7 and the 9. And G dominant G with a lot of extensions. Like, this is what makes it perfect lounge music, I think, all these places. This ornament is only in this arrangement, I think, not in the original. But why not? So here comes a new melody in the higher register, and I think this can be like the chorus, if we had the pre-chorus of this movement all the time, like going to a new direction and stuff. But here, because this material we get back later again. And another lovely progression, A minor, E minor, and F to C. A minor, E minor, F, C. And this parallel descending, stepwise descending, very lovely. Espressivo. So you notice here that here the melody does not only play a repeated note, and it makes it so much interesting, I think. So now again, something new, flips to from C major, flips to minor. And G here points back to C, and before that is some very weird chord, but D flat is a tritone away from G. So kind of tritone substitution or tritone move with extra crunchy extensions. And then G7 points to C, but of course it's back to A minor. Yeah, filled up with octaves in the melody. This time continuing in another direction, going to F minor. We get to play out this. But back to G. And then back to this. So it's resolving to something completely new, but we recognize it from the form before. So it's the same chord as in the beginning. And we get echoes from the introduction, but now starts something new. And this is the middle section that's not part of the original soundtrack, but in Encore they've added it. I don't know if it's maybe somewhere else in the soundtrack, but it's a great middle section, I think. And new textural variations, so add something new. And it's the same type of chords as here. Both quartal and minor 7 and the fourth, somewhere in between there. And it kind of displaces the meter a bit because the melody doesn't come on the beats. Nice ambiguity. Same chord here, the F. And here we have this same problem again, that in the original with orchestra, it's beautifully orchestrated with winds here, like a clarinet or horns or something like that. And they do big swell, and it's a really nice orchestral idea, and that doesn't really transfer to piano because it's a bit dead to only play long chords. I don't think it works that well. So my solution is to add a little bit of tremolo. And you get this nice swelling over 4 bars. Another detail, this upbeat is different in the versions original soundtrack and Encore. It's a quarter note, 2, 3. But in the melodiphony, they've changed it to an 8th note, 2, 3, 4, which I think makes it a little bit more character energy. Then so this is how it's in the original, so the encore and the melodiphony. The melody is up here in piano, I think, but why not switch it up a bit, because we've heard it a few times, and this comes really as a reflection, as an afterthought about after these chords. Why not play it like up here? Or even more variation. Then the melody takes over down here. So here we get a recapitulation after the middle section, and it kind of jumps straight to the chorus. So we skip over this part. So that's like a whole section before, and now, because we have these echoes from the introduction, but then go straight to the A minor part. Nice textural variation with the 16th notes. This very pianistic thing to play. You get this oscillation with in the hand and in the chord. So this is the same. Play out. So this is the Coda, that's new for the melodiphony version. So it's kind of the same as in the beginning, the introduction, but without the quartal chords and with the lush, loungy piano chords instead. F major 9, G add 9, C major 9, 7, D minor 9, turns to this sentimental borrowed chord F minor to a C tonality, and yeah, it's actually the 7, the major 7, so F minor major 7, and then going down to D, the 6, to finally land on a C, which is a C major 9 as the final chord, and some final sparkling up top. So I really think this slow ending kind of ties it together in a really nice way to play as a piece. Perfect for background music if you need that, but also a piece in a program. Why not? Beautiful. It's interesting enough to play it, I think.